minute for hopping on tonight. Okay, so you guys, I maybe should have talked about this a second ago, but I put in our team chat, this team exploded this month, like 141 new people. That's amazing. Like, that's huge. Wendy messaged me. She was, I mean, our team is on fire. Like, this is incredible what we're doing. And I wanted to start the month off, you know, there's a lot of you really solid, really good leaders that you're duplicating and showing people what to do. But I think starting the month is almost even more important than ending the month, because if you start it strong, you're going to have success all the way through your month. And so I just want to talk for a minute about what does that look like about starting your month off strong, and how are we going to steward 141 people that just joined? Because some of you have a lot under one big line. Like, for instance, Lindsay has a huge chunk under like 2 people that just bam. So how are we going to make sure they don't fall through the cracks? How do we keep building well and really serving them well? But so starting off, I'll start by talking about starting the month off strong and some things that I've done. And when I've been in momentum, like we all are right now, this team is in big momentum. What are we going to do to continue it and to keep building this fire and keep it going strong? So the first thing, and if you want to take notes, these things I feel like are very, very important. I've learned these from other diamonds and sideline girls that have walked through this with me. But number one, you need to write down right now, if you haven't, where did you end last month with your points? Write that down, like write your stats down from last month. So where did you end? How many people enrolled underneath you last month? And write their names down. And even if you are very brand new, write it down. I had 18 points last month. Like, you have to celebrate that and you have to remember that. And where do you want to go the next month? So if you ended with 18 points, go for senior silver. You can totally do it. So only a few more people, but you're going to write down where you ended. You're going to write down who enrolled and how many they enrolled. And then you're going to write down, so you're going to have that list, have a whole list of, and some of you have a whole bunch of people that enrolled. So how many people did they enroll? And the ones that have enrolled, where did they end? How many points did they end the month with? And then that can help you project them to where they're going to go the next month. And so that starts the whole part of mapping for your team. So I immediately map for my team the beginning of the month, no matter what, no matter if they ask me to, if they don't ask me to, I'm going to map them out, because if you map them out, that means you're believing in them, you're casting vision for them, and you're showing them, hey, I fully believe in you. I know you can hit the next thing, and let me show you how close you really are. Because sometimes we think like, oh, we're gold, you know, like senior gold feels very far away. I remember I set a gold for a really long time. Senior gold felt impossible to me. And how am I going to hit that? And I was only adding level 1s. So it was very hard for me because I wasn't duplicating at all. I had Melissa was working with me, and might have been like 2 other people, but very kind of, they were just adding level 1. Like, none of us were getting the vision of like, let's build a team. I didn't get that. I didn't know. So now if we build silvers, it is so easy to hit your next rank. So if you're writing down your people, if you have had anyone that has enrolled, you got to map them out. You have to show them how easy it is to get to the next rank. And maybe even a smaller goal of like, let's just get you 1 more silver. Let's help 1 person go silver, because that can just explode. Like, just from that one thing, if you have 1 small goal, give them the goal right away in the beginning of the month, and then stick to that goal. Keep checking in with them on that goal. And as soon as they hit it, yeah, give them another goal. Have your goal ready. You already know, maybe you mapped them out bigger than what you want to tell them. And if you give them little goals at a time and really hold them to it, you can all of a sudden turn them into a senior ruby like Alexis. So it's like, if you know, and you're casting that vision and believing in them, it's hard for them not to believe in themselves when you're checking in and coaching them well. So you're going to write those things down. And then this is a must do. I fully and firmly believe in it. Write this thing out. Or if you don't want this one, I can send it in our team chat. You guys can share it with your people. But this, Jenna Hudala gave it to me. We kind of made it together when she was doing a call with me one day, and we were like, tell me how you do this. So she and I did this for my team, what made sense and what was working for her team. And when I went Emerald, I did this and I stuck to it. And this really, really helps. So if you don't want to do this one, do something and stay accountable. So this is kind of going to go into the next part. Okay, wait, I'm going to come back to that. So back to like starting the month out strong. Connect with every level one, no matter where they're at. If they have ordered a long time ago, maybe they're on products every month, maybe people like even realize I'm like, oh, there she is, beginning of the month. Who cares? Check in with them as a friend. Hey, happy Tuesday, happy February. How are you? I just thought of you. Don't talk Plexus, just connect and check in with them. And the last thing, I guarantee Alexis could like preach a sermon on this. You need to schedule events the beginning of the month and pack your first week full. And if you can get people in on the beginning of the month, like that first week, and fill it up like a couple nights a week with events, it's going to set you off so strong for the whole month, because you can get people, sometimes people need to be on an event and then hear about it 10 more times before they're going to commit. So if you do an event, check on them, love on them throughout the week, throughout the next 2 weeks, and then throw a little more Plexus in there. You never know. And we've even had people where they've been on an event and then I've invited them to a second event, maybe switch it up a little bit and then be like, hey, you want to invite people? They invite people, all of a sudden they became a silver before they got products. So I think it is crucial and so important to host events immediately in the beginning of the month. Okay, so let's quick talk about, holy cow, we got a whole lot of people that just joined. How are we going to make sure they're coached well? How are we going to set them up for success? Because this is the big deal. We do not want anyone pushing their orders out. They're not going to get their goals they wanted. If you don't talk about subscriptions and they push out, what's the point? Like, you got the quick sale. Well, that didn't help you the next month and it didn't help anybody. So you got to really coach well and make sure they know, like, this is what's coming. Here's what's coming. Here's what's coming. And that's why this is so important. So on it, it has, it has their name. And you can do, I've done, you know, when I first started and I only had golds doing this with, you know, I was maybe only had 20 people, but I had maybe a couple levels deep. You can do whatever you want. It can be just your level ones. It can be 1 through however many, but so your name up here, and then their address here, because you can write their welcome pack, the date they purchased. You need the address because you need to handwrite a thank you card. I fully believe in that. Handwrite, do something, give them a thank you card. And then, so if you're doing these things, you kind of follow through the list so you're not forgetting things. Then I have Let's Talk, a referral. That is already, for me, already started in the very beginning process. When I'm on like recruiting them, I'm immediately talking about, hey, I don't want you doing this alone. Before we even close the deal, it's already talked about. You like be thinking, who do you want to do this with you? Because you're going to have way better success if one person does it with you or 3. But so we've already went down that road of let's talk about how we're going to find an accountability partner. So then I have a fun little graphic I'll send them. And I'm not doing these things all in one message. That's overwhelming. Nobody looks at it. And the very best way to get results with this is if you get on the phone. You can do this all on the phone in like 20 minutes and kind of go through and explain, let them ask questions where it's not too much. You cannot do all of that on one message. That's overwhelming. Nobody reads it. Nobody cares. So you're going to share that referral. I talk to them about my expectations, like, hey, I'm here because I care about you and I want to help you and I'm checking in with you. I'm not going to always talk Plexus, but I am going to ask, and you got to do the same. Like, how many of us have had people we're coaching and then they came to us, they want to do Plexus, we get them started and then they're gone. Like, you totally ghosted me. Like, what? So I set that expectation, like, I'm going to reach out to you, but I expect you to communicate. Like, it's a two-way thing. Like, you're not going to just disappear. Like, that doesn't help anybody. So talk about that. The subscription and the perk points, I have a fun little graphic of, look at, you're going to get free products. And that's a really easy way to talk about, let's talk about your next month's order. Are you loving this? Do you want to switch it up? Let's keep you on product. You're getting free stuff. You're going to get paid back. So I send that out before they even start. So these are like, as we're having a big open conversation, and then adding them to the team pages, the Rock Solid Waymakers, The Igniting Health, Hope, and Happiness is a really good one. There's always product information and just a good place to plug them in. And the Plexus Brand Ambassador community page, that's a good one. They always have things on there. And then before the products come, I send them what to expect video, just kind of a rundown, and it talks a little bit about detox. And I send them a message with that, like, hey, you're probably, I start almost everybody on Triplex and probably gonna hit detox. So let's talk about that before it happens. And then I don't have problems with people wanting to quit when they hit it. And then it has day 1, day 4, day 7, 14, 21, and 30. And so then here, when I have a whole list, I will write in the actual date that I need to check in. And then I can just go through my thing in the morning when I'm spending 10 minutes here and see where I need to check in with them. And that way, none of your people are forgotten. And I promise if you do this, you will have really good retention because they're not getting forgotten about, they're being taken care of. So that's a big deal. So I have a fun little graphic that Char made for me. I don't know if you can even see it, but it's just 3 steps to new enrollment success. So this is one of them. And on here, when you're going through this, you have to know what their pain point is. Like, why did they come to you? Why did they want to do this? Because if you don't know, it's really easy for them to bow out at any time. And if you do know, you can keep reminding them like, hey, here, like if you trust me for a little bit longer, we can get to this. Or another thing you can do throughout even the first 2 weeks, you could send a testimony of someone that maybe has something similar, like, oh, my friend Jenna has a thyroid disorder, and send her story. And it made me think of you. And you can relate people to something similar, and they've been able to stay consistent and work through something. So if you know that pain point, you can connect with people. It helps. Like, the other thing is to connect them with your upline immediately. I don't care if you're an emerald, like diamonds are connecting their brand newbies with their upline, not because they don't know anything. The whole point is you have to do it for community. And it's not like we're connecting and then I'm going to say, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. We're connecting because we want to do coffee talk and we want to cheer that person on and let them know, like, we have so many people cheering for you and rooting for you. And we can't wait for you to be part of this team. And that's what it's about. So we want them to feel connected and feel so loved. And if you know their pain point, even in that 3-way conversation, you can be kind of talking about that. And then your third person can validate and maybe even say, oh, I know somebody that, just to back it up and to make them feel like they're not alone in this. So that knowing that pain point is a really big deal. Okay, so those 3 steps. Number 1, connect to your upline as soon as possible in a 3-way chat, on a phone call, whatever that is, but that's really a big deal. The second one is do a coaching sheet, whatever that looks like for you. I can send this one, or maybe you have a different system. I know Plexus in the back office has different things to keep track too. And then the third one, if you want them to stay on product, to have success, this is a big deal. Find them accountability partner. Like, as fast as possible, they need to have an accountability partner, which means they need to enroll 1 person at least. So if we say, let's enroll 3, that is so scary. Can we enroll, like, let's find you 1 person. So I'm gonna have, okay, real fast, I'm all over the place, but when like I told you in the beginning, before I close the deal, I'm already talking about that. And I might even share my story quick. Like, I would have quit immediately if I didn't have a couple people doing it with me, because they're feeling a little bit more like I do have to take the products because I'm checking in with other people too. Like, it makes you like, ooh, we're checking in together. We're in a group together. So we got to do that. But if you maybe forget to mention it before you close the deal, right during all of this, when you're doing that, let's share. Don't come across salesy and as a hunter. We don't want that. We want to come across as, we want the best results for you possible. I know you're going to get them if you have someone doing it with you. Do you have a friend? Do you have a mom? Do you have an aunt? Like, who do you know in your circle that would keep you accountable and try it for 60 days with you? Keep it so simple with them. And if they're like, yeah, I don't know, then like, okay, can we put a post on Facebook? I know you don't even know what you're doing. Like, you have no clue what you're going to drink. You don't know, you're just trusting me. Can you trust me 1 step farther? Could you put a post on Facebook and just, I'll give you the post. Would you be willing to do that? And I could even have a messenger event party. Can you add a couple people and we could see if someone's interested? People I could get around any kind of excuse anyone has with, let me help you. I promise if you trust me and let me help you with it, you won't regret it because we're going to help them. So I think if you come across as you want to help them, you're trying to do the best for them, it's really hard for them to be like, no, no, no. And if they say no, ask why, ask questions. So I'm going to have Alexis and Morgan are going to talk a little bit about finding accountability partners. They've really mastered it well. Oh, Jennifer's, all of you, I shouldn't say just everybody on here actually has mastered this well, but for anyone listening to the recording, they're going to share a little bit.
Alrighty. I have nothing prepped here or anything like that. I was just going to kind of wing it here. But finding my accountability partners, I've always found that it's the best to be honest when I'm asking them, and like being completely straightforward. A lot of people get really scared when we ask them to share, right? Like, hey, would you share this? No, I don't want to sell it, right? And so I love how Heather said, like, finding one person first. Um, I a lot of times have found that if they won't do anything for themselves to get an accountability partner, they might be willing to help me. So then if I switch the verbiage up and be like, well, I'm reaching another goal, will you help me connect to another person? Then they're more likely to help you out because they haven't financially had to put anything into that. And if I'm doing all the work, but a lot of times I will show them a good example of a first post because it scares people to come off as salesy. So if I have like this one first post that we like to use a lot, I will show them that and say, how about something like this that we customize to you and why you're choosing to use Plexus, and asking if people would like to join you, for that accountability. You're not asking them, hey, I started this product, do you want to buy it too? No, it's not the same, right? So I found that that has really been beneficial to people saying yes. And now I told Morgan I was going to put her on the spot tonight too, because I find she's maybe the best person I've ever seen get people who have no wanting to do a business, who doesn't want the income or need the income, but they'll throw a post up for her like whenever she wants. So I want to like throw it over to her to see how she asks them to do this.
All right. Well, after Alexis told me that, I was like, oh gosh, maybe you shouldn't tell me this. But again, I don't have anything really planned either. But I somewhat agree with Alexis there. I am just pretty much honest, open with them. Like she said, a lot of my people, for some odd reason, aren't into the business part of Plexus. So then I kind of flip it to the point of, like she said, well, if you're not in for the business, will you help me? And when I do send them a message, I am pretty dang honest, open with them on like why. And like I also even explained to them kind of like my end goal, or like why I'm with Plexus and what I'm trying to do. Um, saying meaning that, like, I always tell them, like, with having two kids, I would love to eventually stay home with them and not have to work a full-time job, yada yada, so on and so on. And then I sometimes even give them like two options, like, hey, would you feel comfortable either, doing a post for me, or would you add some friends and family into a quick Facebook event I'm hosting on Messenger chat? And I used to give an option, and I think that works well. So it's either like option A or B. I'm not really giving you a choice, but yes, I am. And I do get most yeses, and that's just how I go about it. If you're just honest, and open with them, I think that's what that's what I like when people message me. Is just be honest with me and tell me why too. And then I also find another thing that works best is a lot of people don't like sharing right away. Like Alexa said, it's scary, but especially when they don't have the product in hand already and haven't tried it yet. So I also find it works like, hey, I follow up with them in a week and be like, hey, now you got your product, how you liking it? And then that's kind of when I throw that out there too. So I don't usually throw it at them right away. But I also put in when I do message them too, like, hey, I know you just got your product. Not lost train of thought. And I know it's only been a week, but will you do this for me? And that's like how I go about it. But I don't have anything special, you guys. That's just it. So yeah.
Love it. It's for both of you. It doesn't seem like it's a copy paste. It seems like it's very personable and I feel like they can tell that. I know Alexis's, yours are not copy paste, and I don't think yours are either, Morgan, where it's like, maybe your meat of it is, but people can tell if you're like literally taking a message, you copied it and you bam, pasted it to a bunch of people. But they can feel it if you're like being very honest with them and like reaching out and talking to them. It makes it way better. And if you're like, hey, I'm not asking you to run a business here, just connect me to people, it makes it way less scary. Like, I promise there's no pressure. I'm not going to like jump down their throat and they're not going to be signed in for life. I agree. I think
And I think it helps some a little bit too, like, because sometimes they'll ask like, well, do I have to do anything else? It's like, just like reassure them, like, you'll do all the work. Like if someone comments, I'll take care of it. I'll message them. I can give them all the information.
do you message in a three-way chat then, or do you message and then end up signing them up under that person? What do you do from the comment?
I will either like, I'll usually have, well, I guess it depends on the person. I'll either have them reach out to them first, or I'll have them put person a three-way chat. Yeah. Because I think it helps that the person that posted the post is in there too, just because not just some random person that it's me saying I don't know this other person. So I think it helps to have the person who posted in the chat as well, so they're a little bit more comfortable.
I agree. Okay, you guys want to talk about what that's like then? Once you're in the chat, do you feel like, how does your conversation go?
Morgan, are you taking this one or me?
Well, you can start and then I can fill in if need be.
Okay, so I tried to get to know them and why they're maybe interested. So I start to tell them a little bit about Plexus, and then I ask them their health goals almost immediately after I describe what Plexus is and what, like in the general, what it can do. Then I ask them what are their health goals, and I tell them why I'm asking it, because some people are like, whoa, that's personal. You don't need to know that, right? So I usually say, if you're willing to share with me your top 3 health goals, I would love to show you which specific products that Plexus could help with and why they could help with it. And so then right off the bat, I know exactly which products I'm going to recommend after they respond. And usually they're like, oh, well, they want to show me more of the products rather than I like getting overwhelmed with a website. Some people immediately ask for just the website and just to look at, and then I'll usually say, here you go. But again, it might be overwhelming to look through this all and to know what products are going to be beneficial to you. So I would love to talk about that. Otherwise, now I will recommend even taking the quiz and getting back to them. Or sometimes they just take it and do it. I have some people that have taken and looked up their own and then are like, yeah, I think you were right. I think the triplex is what I want to go with. I'm like, yeah, that could have saved you a lot of time. But I usually always almost one of the first things is I ask them their health goals again. Like Heather says, knowing their pain point is really important, I think, so that I can understand and relate to them. And if I'm not getting anywhere, like as in they've been educated, they decided that that the triplex would be perfect to them, but haven't really taken that first step, then I'll go and find a testimony possibly about what someone else that's maybe close to their story. And then, or if it's a triplex, an example, I'll be sending the video and making sure they watch that. But usually the testimony is what gets them if they've been on the edge, because they find it relatable and they find it as another actual person out there, not just me selling a thing like, oh, this person has the same story, even though I've never experienced that. So especially with thyroid issues, I give a lot of testimonies. I don't have any thyroid issues at all that I know of, but I have a ton of people that do have thyroid issues. And if my testimony doesn't work, well, then I'm setting them up with Melissa, because she can talk the thyroid talk. I can't. I just have given examples. So that's where I'm always leading into the next conversation, I guess, and to keep it going. So.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add on top of that. I feel like everything you said, I've learned from you. So if I'm having questions, I reach out to you. So that's kind of my go-to too. Definitely talking about Plexus first and then finding their health goals is my first conversation point for sure.
So it doesn't feel scary, kind of going back and forth. And do you feel like the person, like all three people are kind of going back and forth in the conversation or adding in a little bit? Or does it kind of depend on who the person is maybe?
I feel like it kind of depends on the person that put the post up and how long and if they have their products yet.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it can be overwhelming. I think three-way chats can feel scary for even the person, like want us or them, because they're like, this is my friend, what are you gonna do to them? Are you gonna badger them and make them feel like they have to do something they don't want to do? So, and like both these ladies have said, if you're honest and upfront with even the three-way chat, what that's gonna look like. I think that's helpful to start it. And then the more you do it, the more comfortable you get and you'll earn your team's trust and it just kind of all flows together. But so those are the three things. Does anyone else have anything they want to add or any questions or comments or things that are working for you guys? Okay, I'm going to end this recording quick.